style houses that brought to mind the fashionable elegance of London's Mayfair. No wonder the Esplanade was a popular place for European settlers to see and to be seen. Back in the old colonial days, they would emerge from their houses to stroll along the Esplanade every afternoon. Here they would enjoy the sea breeze, exchange gossip, and perhaps even indulge in a little innocent flirtation. As a nod to our colonial history, Queen Elizabeth Walk was opened within the Esplanade Park in 1953 to honor the coronation of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. If you have the time, this park will take you on a pleasant, meandering walk through the park to other interesting national monuments. The bridge straight ahead of us is Anderson Bridge, named after Sir John Anderson, yet another governor of the Straits Settlements. This elegant arch displays an excellent combination of intricate plaster and metalwork, whilst its curved structure provides high resistance to bending force, which comes in really handy since it supports the heavy weight of vehicles zipping back and forth daily. As a gorgeous contrast to the skyscrapers that now mark the Singapore skyline, just look to the right and you'll see sitting grandly before us three beautifully preserved buildings that commemorate Queen Victoria, the Empress of India. The Victoria Theatre and Victoria Memorial Hall, which features the clock tower, are both historical monuments dedicated to the performance arts. Right next to them is the Empress Place building, which was constructed in 1907 entirely by convict labor. Previously known as the government offices, the Empress Place building is now also a national monument and home to the Asian Civilizations Museum. The Asian Civilizations Museum is a treasure trove of history and culture that will introduce you to the world of Asian traditions. The museum features over 1,600 treasure artifacts in 4 themed geographical zones and includes a Singapore River gallery dedicated to the history and people of our beloved river. Be sure to check it out for an even more intimate picture of the things you've seen and learned on this river cruise. Up ahead and to the right, over on the museum steps, an enchanting series of sculptures tells the story of the Singapore River's development. Meet our nation's pioneers, coolies, merchants, traders, and financiers, all immortalized in beautifully cast bronze. There are many other surprising sculptures that dot the Singapore River promenade, and if you decide to take an exploratory walk, we promise you won't be disappointed. Over on the right bank, you may have noticed a fine fellow cast in blinding white plaster. Englishman Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, the founder of modern Singapore. The statue marks the spot where Sir Raffles is thought to have first landed in Singapore in 1819. Back then, Singapore was only a sleepy little fishing village, but Raffles saw enormous potential due to her location along the main shipping route between India and China. After signing an agreement with Singapore's then ruler, Sultan Hussein of Johor, Raffles set about establishing a trading post and free port on the island for England's East India Company. He developed a town plan, drawing up residential, administrative, and commercial districts along the riverbanks of this budding island city. The large building we're passing on the right was Singapore's first courthouse, after which it became Parliament House up till 1999, when the new Parliament House was developed just next to it. What is that strange disc hovering over Parliament House? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a UFO? Don't worry, what looked like something out of a sci-fi movie is actually part of the Supreme Court of Singapore. Now this is Elgin Bridge, named after the then Governor General of India, Lord Elgin. Fittingly, the bridge served as a link between the Indian merchants on the north side of the river and the Chinese community on the south side in the days of our colonial past. We're now approaching Coleman Bridge, named after its Irish architect, George Drumgold Coleman, for his invaluable contributions to Singapore's development. Appointed the first superintendent of public works in Singapore, Coleman brought with him an architectural style known as Palladian, a combination of Greek and Roman styles adapted for our tropical climate. The quirky
चलो पैसे वसूल हो जाएंगे और क्या
key, named after Sir Andrew Clark, second governor to Singapore. From the late 19th century, Clarke Quay was the bustling center of commerce for Singapore.
7 मिनट का मेरा वीडियो हो
The
गया
dongkangs or riverboats jostled bow and stern for a place to dock and unload their cargoes, human or otherwise, from the great ships anchored at the harbor.
पूरा सिंगापुर इसी रिवर के आसपास बना हुआ है ना
Go-downs or warehouses by the river, which are those buildings you see along the river bank. One of the buildings here was Wat
mall
Fort
है शायद यहाँ।
House, which belonged to Hu
Mall है
Ah
यहाँ।
Kee, a prominent businessman from Whampoa, China. Way before refrigerators existed, he noticed a demand for ice in our hot tropical weather.